Page 250 and 251 on the higher course deals with quadratic functions. Now, well, the whole chapter does anyway. Now, 250 introduces us again, or rather reintroduces us to factorising quadratic expressions. So there's nothing new here compared to what we did in Unit 2, towards the back end of Unit 2. So looking at question 1, some very basic grade B things here. This is revision really. Right, hello pen, this is 1a. X squared plus 6x plus 5. We're not going to factorise it. We're going to factorise it, not going to solve it. Again, two brackets, x and x. How do you make 5? Well, 1 times 5 makes 5. Both positive. And again, you should test it out. X times x, well, there's your x squared. X times 5, well, that's 5x's. 1 times x, it's an extra x. And 1 times 5 is 5. What do we got here? X squared, 6x plus 5. Again, this bit you don't need to do. If you do it quickly mentally or on a bit of scrap paper in the exam is alright, then you've just proved that you can factorise it correctly to yourself, and you know you got it absolutely right. So no fear there. Let's jump over to E then, 1e. I've got x squared plus 3x minus 88. I'm scared of this now. How on earth am I going to get minus 88? Anyway, x and x. What makes 88? 11 times 8. Yeah, got it. So 11 and 8 makes 88, and there's a difference of 3 there, so I'm quite confident with that. Now, to end up with positive 3, the 11 has to be greater than the 8, so positive 11 minus the 8 makes 3. Again, test it out. X times x, x squared. X times 11, Andrew. X times 11 is 11x. Minus 8x's gives us our 3x's. And of course, 8 11s are 88. With a negative 8 there, and with minus 88. So I'm very confident that's correct. E's done. I think we'll try G. G looks scary, but it's not. Look at it. It's x squared minus 625. Well, you're allowed to use a calculator. This has got to be a square number in order to create a perfect square. Now, check it out. I've essentially got this, haven't I? X times x makes x squared. Now, you may recall, or you may be able to calculate, or you may be able to recognise that 25 times 25 is 625. So check this out. This is the difference of two squares. Sorry, not a perfect square, I got that wrong. Difference of two squares. So that's minus, that's plus. X times x, x squared. X times 25, 25x. Minus 25 times x, minus 25x. So the 25x's cancel. And 25 times 25 is 625. Minus times a plus is negative. So, you know, work this out for yourself. That is completely correct. In fact, let me just check on my calculator. Make sure it's good. Please come on. Would you believe it's not even coming on? I must have left it on all day and night. Oh dear, here we go. Right, I'll sort you out later. Anyway, 25 times 25 is 625. So minus 25 times 25 is minus 625. Not a perfect square. The difference of two square numbers. X times x, square number, x squared. 25 times 25, 625. Difference means subtract, so that's perfectly correct. I think I'll do H as well. Looks a bit tricky, but it's not. It's top grade B, but it's not tricky. So that's 4x squared, take away 25. Now, I know I need this. Now, look at this. 4 is a square number, it's called 2 squared. 25 is a square number, it's called 5 squared. So how do we break this up? It's the difference of two squares. I've got an x and an x to take care of my x squared. I need a 2 and a 2 to get my 4. And I need a 5 and a 5 to get my 25. So it's the difference of two squares. Positive there, negative there, or the other way around. That could be negative, that could be positive. Just test it. 2x times 2x, 4x squared, correct. 2x times minus 5 is minus 10x's. 5 times 2x is plus 10x's, and you can see there why they cancel. And 5 5s are 25, but it's negative, hence minus 25. Beautiful, no problem whatsoever. That's sum of question 1 done anyway. Sum of question 2, hopefully, coming up now. Looks scary, it's not. X squared minus 1.44. Does that remind you of 144? Yeah, the square root of 144 is 12. So 1.44 is going to be 1.2. So look at it carefully. I've got x and x again. Instead of 12 times 12, I've got 1.2 times 1.2 will make 1.44. One's positive and one's negative. Again, it's the difference of two squares. Not a problem. Look at the next one. Worth doing. X squared minus 0.36. Does that look a little bit like 36? It does, doesn't it? So therefore, we're looking at 0.6 here and 0.6 there, and an x and an x there. One positive, one negative. Difference of two squares. Again, I know it's strange, but if you multiply 0.6 by 0.6, it looks like you're going to get an even bigger answer. But remember, when you're multiplying two decimals together, you end up with an even smaller decimal. Alright, 0.6 times 0.6 is 0.36, and that's how you factorise that sort of thing. I'll do the last one, because it looks frightening. X squared minus 1/4. Again, it's got to be squares, otherwise we can't do it. So x and x. Now, what times what makes a quarter? A half does. A half times a half makes a quarter, doesn't it? And we can have a positive value there, a negative value for the half there. X times x, x squared. X times minus a half, minus half an x. I'm just showing you that it works. Half times x is plus half of an x, and of course they disappear. Half times a half is a quarter, but of course it's minus because the negative value is there. Right, so it perfectly works out. Now we sort of jump into some grade A stuff in question 3, then I'll stop and do some more challenging ones. Don't need another page, I just put a line there. Question 3, it says minus 2x plus x squared. I don't like it all backwards, so I'm going to say that's the same as x squared minus 2x, okay? So I put the minus 2x on this side, and that's fine. Go and factorise the thing completely. Well, the best I can do is to take an x out of each of these two terms. So x minus 2, done. Jumping over to, I don't know, try d, shall we? I've got to x squared minus 7 plus 6x. It's all horribly arranged, so let's do it the way that we like it. We have the square first, then the x's, then the number. Then it's really, really unscary. Look, x and x. How do you make 7? The only way to make 7 is 1 times 7, isn't it? So, to end up with positive 6's, the 7's got to be heavier than the 1. That's got to be negative. Test it. X times x, x squared. X times 7, 7x's. Minus 1 times x, minus 1x. So we've got 7x take away 1x, which is 6x. And of course, minus 1 times 7 is minus 7. So that's perfectly good. I'll do the last one, I think. No, I'll do G. Fit it down here, then we'll stop the bid as a little starter. Again, nothing new here. So 3x squared minus 6 plus 3x. Let's write it in the way that we love it. So we have the little squares first, then the x's, then the number term on its own. I've got to factorise it completely. Big hint. Now look, 3, 3, 6. I can pull 3 out, work up here, as a common factor. And I'm left with x squared plus, that's not very good, come on, don't get all glitchy, I hate it goes glitchy. Right, x squared plus x minus 2, just look at it carefully. 3x squared, 3x, 3 2's are 6, minus 6. So I've begun to factorise by taking out the common factor from each term. Now I'm left with a very baby grade B quadratic, which goes a little bit like that. X squared, well that's x and x. How do you make 2? No choice. 2 times 1. I've got to end up with plus 1x here, so the 2's got to be heavier than the 1. You know, using common speech here. Look at it carefully. X squared, 2x minus 1x gives me the x that I want, and minus 1 times 2 is minus 2. So that's perfectly good. Please note, 3 factors. Hence, factorise fully. I'll write it over here. If you see the words factorise fully, expect more than the usual. So in this case, we've got 3 factors from a quadratic from which you normally expect 2 factors. So you have to watch that really carefully. And I will do B actually, because B looks frightening. I'm going to do it up here, so forgive me for making this all look all untidy. But B's a really nice question. It says 2x squared minus 800. Don't be terrified. Factorise it fully. Take a 2 out of there and take a 2 out of there, and it all falls apart. Look at it. x squared minus 400. Lovely. I think it's beautiful. Now look, you can see 400 is a square number. So 2 with 2 brackets, x and x. 20 times 20 makes 400. So we'll have a 20 there and a 20 there. Look, it's the difference of 2 squares. So one could be positive and the other one negative. And that is beautiful. Certainly as hard as the last one, I'd say, because you have to spot the fact that you've got to factorise to get the 800 simplified down to 400, and then recognise that 20 times 20 is 400. It's still tricky, every bit, grade B, if not working towards grade A. So I'll stop there and do all grade A from then on. It'll be a second video on 17.1, or maybe 3. There's some really complicated questions there. But for now, that's revision of factorising quadratics. We will get on to solving the things later on. And again, not a great deal new here. And have fun. See you quite soon.